Volkswagens of today are true feats of engineering. Across multiple segments, they set the golden standard for millions of buyers who look for precision, reliability, and a certain understated sense of quality. Whether it's a hot hatch that can embarrass sports cars on a back road, or a family-friendly SUV that carries the badge with quiet confidence, modern Volkswagen has evolved into a global powerhouse with engineering and performance at its core. The company now competes not just with mass-market automakers, but often finds itself brushing shoulders with premium and performance brands. But if we turn back the clock, the Volkswagen nameplate meant something very different. The seriousness we see today, the focus on efficiency, cutting-edge technology, and razor-sharp engineering, was not quite the image carried by Volkswagen in the 1960s and 70s. Back then, the brand was the poster child for simplicity, honesty, and a kind of colorful soul that is rare in today's corporate-driven automotive world. Volkswagen wasn't just a car maker, it was a cultural phenomenon. The Beetle, the bus, and the quirky Karmann Ghia were more than machines. They were symbols of peace, freedom, and individuality. Among that lineup, the Karmann Ghia stood out. Sleeker than the humble Beetle, yet just as approachable. It was a car that didn't need raw horsepower or exotic mechanics to turn heads. Instead, it relied on something more timeless: design, proportion, and spirit. And the example before us today, a 1974 Volkswagen Karmann Ghia with just over 75,000 miles, is a window back into that special era when Volkswagen cars weren't just about getting from A to B. They were about enjoying the journey, soaking in the vibes of the open road, and doing so with a smile on your face. This particular car, painted in a vivid shade of orange and paired with a black and orange interior, radiates exactly that kind of optimism. It is a reminder of a Volkswagen philosophy rooted in joy and simplicity, a philosophy that makes us rethink what driving can really mean. The Karmann Ghia has always been more than just a Volkswagen coupe. It is a collaboration, a design story, and ultimately an embodiment of mid-century automotive art. To appreciate this 1974 example, one must step back and look at where it came from, what it meant in its own time, and why it continues to resonate with enthusiasts and casual observers alike. The Karmann Ghia's story begins in the 1950s, in a post-war world where Volkswagen was steadily establishing itself as a reliable but modest manufacturer. The Beetle was already gaining momentum as the people's car, beloved for its durability and friendly looks. Yet Volkswagen's leadership, particularly Heinz Nordhoff, realized that while the Beetle satisfied the masses, there was room for something more aspirational, something that could bring elegance and style to the brand without abandoning its affordable and accessible ethos. Karmann was a German coach builder, well respected for its craftsmanship and ability to bring unique body styles to life. Ghia, on the other hand, was an Italian design house based in Turin, with a portfolio of beautiful concepts that showcased the fluid, sculptural language of the era. The marriage of Volkswagen's mechanicals, Karmann's production expertise, and Ghia's artistry was a masterstroke. The result was a car that was both recognizably Volkswagen and yet unlike anything the company had offered before. When the first Karmann Ghia rolled out in 1955, it was immediately clear that Volkswagen had created something unique. It shared the Beetle's chassis and engine, meaning it was mechanically simple and reliable. But its body was dramatically different, low-slung, curvaceous, and imbued with a distinctly European elegance. Some even called it the poor man's Porsche, though that label hardly does it justice. The Karmann Ghia was not a pretender to the Porsche 356. It was its own statement. It wasn't about racing pedigree or lap times. It was about style, presence, and driving pleasure. By the time the 1974 model year arrived, the Karmann Ghia had already been in production for nearly 2 decades. It had seen incremental updates over the years, adapting to changing safety regulations and consumer tastes. Yet it retained its core identity. The 1974 model represented one of the last iterations of the original formula before the car bowed out in 1975. In many ways, it was a culmination of everything the Karmann Ghia had stood for since its inception. Looking at this particular 1974 Volkswagen Karmann Ghia, one is immediately struck by its visual appeal. The orange paint, a color very much in tune with the vibrant 1970s palette, wraps around the car's smooth curves with a kind of joyful boldness. This is not a car that hides in the background. It was meant to be noticed. The owner reports that it has been repainted in this shade, and the finish gleams with the kind of warmth that makes you think of summer days, beach drives, and sunsets on winding coastal roads. The car's exterior retains all the classic Karmann Ghia cues. The low nose with its delicate grille, the subtle fender lines, and the chrome bumpers that add just enough sparkle without overwhelming the design. Chrome accents along the window frames and body edges catch the light, a reminder of the attention to detail that defined mid-century coachwork. Unlike many cars of its era that relied on sharp angles or heavy ornamentation, the Karmann Ghia succeeded because of its restraint. Its beauty lies in the curves, in the way the body panels flow seamlessly from one line to the next. Rolling on steel wheels finished in black and capped with period-correct Volkswagen hubcaps, this car maintains the honesty of its roots. There is no oversized alloy wheel to distract from the shape, no aftermarket flash to break the harmony. The wheels serve as a visual anchor, grounding the car in its heritage while allowing the vibrant bodywork to take center stage. From every angle, the 1974 Karmann Ghia manages to balance elegance with charm. It is sophisticated enough to draw admiration from design purists, yet playful enough to make casual passers-by smile. The interior continues this theme of charm and simplicity. Finished in a two-tone black and orange scheme, the cabin feels cohesive with the exterior while adding its own flavor. Step inside, and you are greeted not with an overload of buttons or digital screens, but with the essentials of driving pleasure that a period-correct steering wheel sits proudly before the driver. Its thin rim and straightforward design, a far cry from the thick, multifunction-laden wheels of today. Behind it, simple gauges provide the necessary information, speed, fuel, and a reminder of the engine's steady heartbeat. The dashboard is devoid of gimmicks. It reflects a time when driving was about the connection between man and machine, not man and infotainment system. The seats, upholstered in the same black and orange theme, are comfortable without being overly plush. They remind you that this was a car designed for everyday use, for people who wanted a stylish coupe but still needed something practical. There are no power adjustments, no heated cushions, just honest seats that hold you in place as you take the Karmann Ghia through a gentle corner. Badging within the interior proudly displays the car's identity, with Karmann Ghia script reminding the driver and passengers that this is no ordinary Volkswagen. It is something a little more special, a little more artistic. Lift the rear lid, and you encounter the beating heart of this 1974 Volkswagen Karmann Ghia. The 1,600 cubic centimeters air-cooled flat-4 engine. For enthusiasts, this engine needs no introduction. It is simple, robust, and iconic. Producing modest horsepower by modern standards, it nevertheless delivers an experience that feels more engaging than many cars with triple the output. The air-cooled Boxer 4 is not about raw numbers. It is about character. The distinct thrum, the mechanical honesty of its sound, and the way it delivers its power to the rear wheels through a 4-speed manual transmission all contribute to the Karmann Ghia's charm. Driving this car is not about how quickly you can get to 60 miles per hour. It is about how alive the journey feels while you are getting there. In this example, the engine bay reveals thoughtful detailing. including color-matched components that tie back to the orange exterior. This attention to aesthetics underscores the fact that for Volkswagen and its customers, even a car's mechanical heart could be an expression of style. Sliding behind the wheel of a Karmann Ghia is to step back into a different era of motoring. The steering is unassisted, meaning every turn of the wheel is felt directly through your arms. The clutch pedal has weight, and the 4-speed shifter requires a deliberate hand. But far from being inconveniences, these aspects enhance the sense of connection. Acceleration is not blistering, yet it is steady and reassuring. The car encourages a more measured pace, one that lets you notice the scenery, hear the engine's song, and feel the road beneath you. On winding roads, the lightweight chassis and rear engine layout create a balance that is both playful and confidence-inspiring. The Karmann Ghia is not a sports car in the modern sense, but it delivers a kind of joy that many sports cars have forgotten. The joy of being part of the machine, of working together to create momentum and flow. Perhaps most importantly, driving the Karmann Ghia feels social. It attracts waves, smiles, and conversations at gas stations. It is not intimidating or exclusive. It is inviting. That, more than anything, is why the Karmann Ghia continues to hold a special place in automotive culture. The 1970s were a time of shifting values, of counterculture, of music and art that challenged conventions. Volkswagen, more than any other brand, found itself woven into the cultural fabric of the era. The Beetle was the car of the people. The bus became synonymous with the hippie movement. The Karmann Ghia, while less overtly tied to protest or communal living, carried its own symbolism. It was the stylish expression of individuality, the choice for someone who wanted to stand out without being ostentatious. In orange, this particular Karmann Ghia embodies the optimism of that time. Bright colors, carefree driving, and the idea that a car could be more than transportation, it could be part of your identity. The Ghia was not about rebellion, but about freedom in a quieter, more personal sense. It was about feeling good on the road, about enjoying the moment. Today, the Karmann Ghia is increasingly appreciated among collectors and enthusiasts. While the Beetle enjoys a massive following, the Ghia's numbers were always smaller, making it more exclusive without ever losing its accessibility. A well-kept or restored Karmann Ghia, especially from the later years of production, offers a blend of reliability, style, and cultural cachet that is hard to beat. This 1974 model year is particularly notable because it represents the tail end of the production run. In 1975, the car would be discontinued, replaced in spirit by the Scirocco and other front-engine Volkswagen coupes. As such, the 1974 models capture the last chapter of the air-cooled rear-engine Volkswagen coupe era. With its repaint, clean chrome, and well-kept interior, the example before us is a fine representation of the car's appeal. It is not over-restored or modernized to the point of losing character. It remains true to what the Karmann Ghia was meant to be. In the end, the 1974 Volkswagen Karmann Ghia is more than just a car. It is a time capsule. It carries within its curves the optimism of the 1970s, the artistry of Italian design, the craftsmanship of German coach building, and the simplicity of Volkswagen engineering. It invites you not to race, but to drive, to slow down, to notice, to connect. While modern Volkswagens are feats of technology and performance, cars like the Karmann Ghia remind us that sometimes the soul of driving lies in the basics. An engaging design, a simple engine, and the feeling of being part of something that is greater than the sum of its parts. This orange coupe, with its 1,600 cubic centimeters Boxer 4 and its two-tone interior, is a piece of rolling art. It is a conversation starter, a joy bringer, and a reminder that cars don't have to be fast to be memorable. They just have to have heart. and few cars, past or present, embody that heart quite like the Volkswagen Karmann Ghia.